Good morning, everyone. My name is Sharon, and I am part of the Friends of the Kingston Community Library. And I was asked by Miss Haley to read to you this morning, and it is called Alice in Wonderland. And it is one of my favorite and my mother's favorite books. And I have a lot of Alice in Wonderland items around me, several books, and some of the characters. And we'll look at those. Alice in Wonderland. The story was written by Lewis Carroll, but maybe you have seen the story in a movie form by Walt Disney, which is wonderful. Alice was growing tired listening to her sister read. Just as her eyes began to close, she saw a white rabbit hurry by, looking at the pocket watch and talking to himself. Alice thought that was very curious. Talking rabbit with a pocket watch? So she followed him into a rabbit hole beneath a very big tree. And down she fell. She fell down towards the center of the world, it seemed. When Alice landed with a very big thump, the white rabbit was just disappearing through a door, which was much too small for her. Alice drank from a bottle on the table. And this is the table. And on the table, there was this bottle that said, "Drink me." But now, when she drank it, she could not reach the key in the door because she was so small. At last, Alice found a way to get through the little door. She was seated on the bottle that she drank from, and she floated into a wonderland of a mysterious sea. On the shore of the Wonderland Sea, Alice found a race was in progress. It had no beginning and it had no end. It just ran round and round. On through the Wonderland, Alice went looking for the white rabbit. She met two jolly fellows called Tweedledum and Tweedledee, and they're right here dancing with her. They did not know the rabbit, but they did tell Alice about Wonderland, and they told her also a story of a walrus and a carpenter, and she began to walk toward the sea. Alice listened politely, but then she hurried on, and at a neat little house in the woods, at last she met the white rabbit himself. The rabbit sent Alice into his little house to hunt for his gloves, but instead she found some cookies labeled, "Take one." So she did. The cookie made Alice grow very big, bigger than the house. And it was such a sight. The rabbit and his friend, the dodo bird, thought she was just a dreadful monster because she was so big. Alice picked a carrot from the rabbit's garden. Eating it made her small again, so small that she was soon lost in the forest of grass. Soon Alice found herself in a garden of talking live flowers. There were bread and butterflies and rocking horseflies, and Alice thought the garden was the most pleasant place. But the flowers thought that Alice was just a weed, so they would not let her stay. Next, Alice met a caterpillar blowing smoke rings. He told Alice to eat mushrooms if she wished to change her size, because he was sitting on top of a very large mushroom. Alice sampled one side and shot up taller. Then the treetops frightening the birds, but another bite made her just the right size. Now, which way shall I go? Alice wondered. The signposts she found along the path were of no help. They pointed all over. "If I were looking for a white rabbit, I'd ask a Mad Hatter," said the Cheshire Cat sitting up in the tree. He lives that way. So Alice found the Mad Hatter and also a tea party in progress. And with the Mad Hatter was the March Hare. And they were celebrating on birthdays at their tea party. She joined them for quite a while. And after some very nonsensical conversation, Alice wanted to go home. But more strange creatures seemed to be in the way. Alice wandered into the Queen's garden, but the gardeners could not help her. They were all busy as they could be, painting the roses red. Soon along came a royal procession. And who should the royal trumpeter of the Queen of Hearts be but the White Rabbit himself? The Queen asked Alice to play croquet, but Alice did not think that she wanted to do that. And then the Queen said, "Off with her head," and away Alice ran, while the army of cards gave chase, down all the tangled paths of Wonderland and back to the riverbank. "I'm glad to be back where things are really what they seem," said Alice as she woke up from her very strange dream in Wonderland. And if you look closely, you can see all of the characters here that were talked about. Here's the Queen, and here's the Mad Hatter, and here's the March Hare, and Alice and her cat that were taking the nap when they had this wonderful adventure. And of course, Tweedledum and Tweedledee, and the Cheshire Cat. And I'm going to show you some of those funny little characters here. We have Alice, of course. She's sitting right next to me as I read. And right behind me, just as would be in the tree, is our Cheshire Cat. He's a mighty thing, and he has a big smile because he's got the Cheshire grin. And also next to me is our little animal that fits into our teapot, the Dormouse. And he was at the tea party with the Mad Hatter. If you wanted to read more of these books, when our library is open, we have so many about Alice in Wonderland, and there are so many in the collection, not just at the library, but in any library or any bookstore, and they come in all shapes and sizes and reading abilities. So we hope that you join us again, and I look forward to seeing you at the library along with Miss Haley, and thank you so much. Bye-bye.